Well, it seems I'm doing yet another video reply, commentary on another Young Turks video. This time it's their video titled Klan Leader Shoots at Black Men, Cops Don't Budge video, which is ironic because there's another situation where it wasn't a Klan leader, it was somebody on the other side who was using a flamethrower and they never mentioned it. And that information was out before this information from the ACLU was out. Um, so it's amazing how selective their news broadcast is. It shows this unbiased news, if you want to call it news, the unbiased commentary of news is really, well, bias. And it's just it's ridiculous listening to them and watching them. Uh, it's like they have a goal, and it's one, go with the narrative of the mainstream media, and two, try and make whites look bad, as if they're all part of the Ku Klux Klan. They're all privileged. They're all doing this because, the cops just didn't do anything because the guy's white. Even though the other guy involved, which they never mentioned, other than there is another guy that's being shot at, they kind of omit how he was the instigator of the situation when he's using a flamethrower. Anyways, let's go ahead and watch this.
The ACLU has just released video showing a neo-Nazi at the Charlotte...
No, Ku Klux Klan leader. There's a difference between neo-Nazis and Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, there's similarities. They both are racist, bigoted, often, I believe, all homophobes. But other than that, they're different groups, and they often clash with each other because they don't like each other. So there's a little bit of a difference.
Charlottesville, Virginia hate rally, firing a weapon at a group of counter-protesters.
No, and in the video when she plays it, he's not firing a weapon at a group of protesters. He's firing a weapon at the ground next to a attacker with a flamethrower. They just leave that out. Conveniently. Isn't that nice how they just always seem to leave stuff out? Like, oh, those police officers who let those poor kids drown, they just sat there in that one video where they let them drown and never helped them. At the same time, another video was released showing the police officers in their underwear wanting to get in there but realized it was too dangerous. Information like that always seems to make cops and white people look bad. Isn't it amazing that the information they leave out always tends to lead towards that particular view? Just saying.
Now, they didn't want to release this footage until the authorities had seen it and identified the individual and had him in custody. But now that...
Keep in mind, she's saying right here, they had him in custody. And this comes in later because later on they're like, we want him to be able to react and arrest people, as if that never happened. So keep in mind, they're admitting it.
We can see it. It'll give you a sense of, some of the violence that could be seen on the neo-Nazi side. Take a look.
Well, technically he's a Klan member, so would it be neo-Nazi, a Klan, or both? I mean, again, just be accurate in what you're saying. At the very least, that's all I really want is accuracy in reporting or commentary. I mean, you guys have a lot of followers. I don't, so I don't think I need to watch, dot my I's, cross my T's every which way, but you guys do, and you have a higher responsibility than I do because of your position of power and what you're trying to put out there. Anyways, let's go. If you watch, you'll notice there was, if you can see my little cursor here, there was a stream of aerosol coming out. This is important because somebody's getting ready to ignite a makeshift flamethrower. You can kind of see more of a puff of smoke here. So let's kind of rewind just a little bit. See how the smoke's just coming out? Now watch. Boom. And notice the guy comes out with the gun. They only pay attention on the Young Turks to the guy with the gun. But they don't mention, that the guy's reacting to a guy with a flamethrower who's attacking people. Here, watch it again. He doesn't come out and pull the gun off until the fire's gone. Boom! Now he takes the gun out. It's a reaction. It's a reaction to a guy with a flamethrower. The guy has a deadly weapon. He's trying to attack people that could harm or kill somebody. I mean, even if maybe it's not hugely harmful, just giving them bad burns and maybe not kill them, catching their clothes on fire could have that effect. Catching the bushes over there could end up igniting a huge fire, starting a stampede, which could get people killed. And we know from a history of fire, people tend to run over each other to get away from a fire. And if it goes into a building, again, there could be people in there. This is extremely dangerous. This guy is hostile. And at that moment, he did that. That guy with the gun actually had the legal justification to put that guy down. At least I would assume in their state they have self-defense and defense of others with firearms laws over there, including the flamethrower. I mean, that is a deadly weapon, but you won't hear the Young Turks bring that up, will you? Notice when he fired, he didn't fire at the guy. He fired at the ground. That's stupid. I mean, if you're going to fire a gun, you fire it to stop the threat. Firing into the ground, it could ricochet. Even if it's in the dirt, there could be a rock in there. Boom, it comes back. It hits you. It hits somebody else. It hits an unintended target, a child. So, yeah, the guy did something stupid. And in reality, he should have dropped the guy. That would have been completely legal, and he wouldn't have gone to prison for that. No, he's not in prison yet, to jail. He wouldn't be in custody like this anyways, because he would have had right there justifiable self-defense for firing that firearm, which means he's no longer probably, well, I don't know how their laws are written over there, but he would no longer be in the situation where he would be possibly charged with firing a firearm within a school zone, because that is now justified reason for firing your firearm in there. Luckily, the guy's not dead, the other guy, and no one died at all, which is good. But the guy had every legal right to shoot, plain and simple. Now, here's the thing that if you watch, the guy actually is walking away. The stupid guy, he's turning his back. So this could come back to bite him in the butt when it comes to a good lawyer, because a good lawyer, well, how can you say you were fearing for your life or others when you turned your back on them and walked away? And lawyers are great at this. They're going to do that. And some people are stupid and they don't have the training, so they just turn their back. And that will be a lawyer who will be trying that one. But watch, because he goes to the cops. The cops are over here. And now look, he's going to yell at the cops. See, they're attacking us. He's firing in self-defense. He's telling the police what happened. I mean, and what's funny is the police say, we didn't hear it. And they might not have, but I really, really, really doubt that. But this shows even this guy is trying to get the police attention who aren't doing anything about a guy who's attacking people with a flamethrower. The guy has legal justification, and I'm not saying being a Ku Klux Klan member, and this is sad, I'm actually defending the position of a racist bigot, but he's in the right. I mean, he is literally defending himself and others in that sense. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And he's going there. And you won't hear this on the Young Turks. No, you won't hear that. This guy is bad. The cops didn't want to react because apparently he's white, but that's got to be the reason, because, in the other states where there's riot, they came in with, where it was not protests, but riots, they came in with tanks. But anyways, let's continue.
That was a gunshot. What's amazing about that video, if you pay very close attention, you can see cops behind the barricade about 10 feet.
You mean the cops the guy was yelling at and saying we're being attacked? Those same cops. Of course, they only point out the cops there because apparently he got away. Must have been because he's white.
Away. And there was no reaction from them whatsoever. In fact,
they didn't react to the other guy with the flamethrower either. But you're not complaining about that, are you? It's the white guy. that's what you're going after.
Let's take a look at the next video. Again, pay close attention toward the
Next
back
video
where
is a
you can see the police
video.
officials.
Just zoomed in. Yeah, police officers. So they've watched this video. They know what he's doing. You know, and they're paying attention to the figures way back there, but they apparently just, you know, either missed the one part where he's trying to tell the cops, hey, the guy's attacking us, and also where, you know, the whole situation with them, it's just one-sided.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. Police didn't react to a guy who was attacking people with a flamethrower, causing another person to act in self-defense, firing a gun into the ground. And the police didn't do anything, even after the guy who used the gun in self-defense told the police officers he's being attacked. It is unbelievable.
He literally opened fire. There was no reaction.
Literally compared to figuratively?
From the cops. Now, the cops claim, or a spokesperson for the cops claim, no. I mean, everybody relax. They just didn't hear what happened.
I have a feeling that that's not exactly what happened. Not only what she's saying they said is probably a little different, but I doubt that's why the police didn't act. I think they didn't react because this means escalating the situation. They're going to have to jump over that, abandon their post to go after one guy with a gun who's surrounded with other people who are part of his group who tend to have guns, and they got a guy with a flamethrower. You know, it's funny. The Young Turks are always, let's de-escalate the situation. But now, nope, you should have escalated the situation. You should have went in there with guns blazing, you know, because they're going to have guns, they're going to have guns, we're going to shoot, and it'll be great, and that's what we want in this situation. But every other situation, when it comes to a black person, de-escalate the situation. What you're doing is wrong. Oh my gosh. It is just selective bias on their side. A cognitive bias. It's ridiculous. Whoops.
They didn't hear a gunshot?
Yeah, I doubt they didn't hear the gunshot. At that range, everybody's ears would be ringing. Well, it depends. If it's a little 22, maybe not. I probably should pay attention to the firearm, but anyway.
Feet away. Now,
then they could have thought it was a firecracker or somebody bashing a trash can. Then maybe, yeah, I could see that being a justifiable reason because they're not always that loud.
police did finally arrest the individual who opened fire.
Again, admitting they arrested him. This comes into play later.
It's Richard Wilson Preston in connection to the incident. Wilson was charged with discharging a firearm within 1,000 feet of a school.
Yeah, he broke the law. He had a situation where the only legal firing of that firearm should have been into the chest of that other gentleman, but he didn't do that and apparently didn't want to kill somebody. So he fired a warning shot into the ground. One that kind of makes the guy sound not so bad. I mean, instead of doing something he could have done legally and shoot and kill the person for attacking people with a flamethrower, he decided to opt not to kill, or at least try not to kill anybody, and fire a shot into the ground. It's stupid, as I mentioned, things can ricochet, but it shows he didn't want to shoot an attacker with a flamethrower.
During the so-called Unite the Right rally on August 12th. He is in custody in Maryland.
All right, listen. So on the cops' reactions, I remember tanks in the streets in Ferguson, but...
Yeah, one's a riot, one's a protest. There is a huge difference. But, of course, Cenk will make that distinction when it comes to this situation, because his goal, again, is to make it look like there's tons of racism going on. You know, black people are always treated different than white people. You know, even though in this situation, he literally puts a situation where it shows quite differently than what he's trying to add. You have a black person the cops didn't arrest right away. They still haven't arrested him apparently, but they did arrest the white guy. But they don't want it to look that way. They want it to look like, you know, they just let him go. It's a white situation, and blacks are treated differently. Well, apparently they are. They didn't go after the black person, so apparently they let the blacks go and the whites they take into custody. That so maybe Chink is right.
No, now if you're a right winger, you just shoot people. Nah, whatever. Now, but I'm actually, like, I understand people's concern about that. I don't want to say I'm less concerned about that. I find it slightly more credible that in that atmosphere they might not have heard it. Okay,
I don't know. I it's hard to believe they didn't hear it. They could have, if it's a low caliber 22, maybe mistaked it as something else. But if I should go back and find out what gun again. But if it's like a 9mm, everybody's gonna know the difference. The cops will know right off bat. I mean, their ears, even from over there, should be ringing a little bit.
I'm trying to be as fair as humanly possible. Okay.
Well, being fair would be to include all the information. But of course, Chink will not do that. He's not going to mention that the guy was acting in self-defense against a guy with a flamethrower, especially mentioning a black guy with a flamethrower. A black guy with a flamethrower attacking others. He doesn't want to do that. Now, this isn't because of race the black guy was doing it. I mean, that could have been a white guy, but if it was a white guy, Chink would probably bring it up, of course. But in this situation, he's not going to, because this really would be a bad thing for his narrative that he puts out there, his race-baiting narrative.
Okay, so maybe they didn't hear that gunshot. Maybe, there's mayhem, etc. Although the cops look pretty calm. Okay, but to me, the bigger problem is,
well, I didn't look at the cops, but if they were calm in there, then maybe they actually didn't hear it. Because if a cop hears a gunshot, usually their first reaction is to grab their gun. Maybe not always necessarily pulled out, but that's usually the first reaction because they don't know if somebody's shooting them themselves. So maybe there is some truth to it that they didn't hear it. So maybe, I don't know. Could be. Maybe it was a low caliber, or it sounded like it, or maybe there's been some banging that's so loud that easily that you don't see in this video that could be mistaken as gunshots, and therefore they just weren't reacting. We'll see.
Discharging a firearm within 1,000 feet of a school, that's the biggest charge he got?
Well, yes, Chink, that's the biggest charge he got. What do you charge him with? Destruction of lawn? I suppose destruction of property because he put a hole in the ground. I suppose you could charge him with that. But what do you, Chink Uger, believe he should be charged with?
About attempted
murder. He fired right out the gun.
Attempted murder. Attempted murder, it would mean that he was trying to kill the other person and doing so without lawful reason. Like without acting in self-defense. Then maybe you could charge him with that. But you have a guy with a flamethrower that the other guy was fired a firearm to stop, and he didn't even aim it at him. He aimed it at the ground. So you can't say attempted murder when you're not even aiming at the person. That's just, it's ridiculous. You can't charge anybody with attempted murder when they're acting in self-defense. So yeah, they charged him with the crime that he's guilty of. He fired a firearm within the school limit, and he didn't use it to shoot the person, which he probably would not have been charged with that. He might have been brought up earlier with then attempted murder, but it would have been after the case was investigated. Oh, hey, it was self-defense, and he would have a chance in court, which looking from the video would look like self-defense of himself and others. And chances are, if they have a law like over here, you're starting a fire, other than at a barbecue pit, and it looks like you're starting to start a building or something else that can get on fire, that can cause a building to catch on fire, then guess what? You can shoot the person there. It becomes immediately justified. So yeah, it's not attempted murder. You can't charge somebody with attempted murder when they're not attempting to kill a person. They're actually going out of their way not to kill a person who they're trying to stop from harming people with a flamethrower. All right, let's continue.
Guy. He fired. Why not attempted murder?
Because he wasn't attempting to kill anybody. He was acting in self-defense and trying to actively avoid killing somebody by firing down at the ground. What do you think constitutes? Apparently, in Cenk Uygur's mind, if you fire a shot at the ground to stop an attack with a flamethrower, it's attempted murder now.
Why are we so incredibly soft on right-wing terrorists?
Well, where was the terrorism in there? Really, I mean, how can you call him a terrorist? If this was me and I was this racist, bigoted Klan leader and I saw this video, my first thing would be to sue him for that. Because he's calling me a terrorist. I'm not a terrorist, so therefore I'd sue. And he would win. I mean, Cenk Uygur, and a lot of these videos I see him, I'm amazed nobody has even started charging him with, slander and stuff. But, it's not terrorist. How can the act of self-defense in Cenk's mind be terrorism? Self-defense is now terrorism. Actively defending yourself and others from a man with a flamethrower is terrorism to Cenk. Jeez, this guy is just completely dishonest. And it's not accidental. He's not like, oh, I'm just stupid. No, he is intentionally dishonest. Intentionally saying this stuff because he's seen the video. He knows. Even the other guy, he says, a black guy. So he's clearly seen the other guy. He's seen the photos. He's seen the video of the guy with the flamethrower. So he knows who the other guy is. So, and he leaves it out.
Oh, wait a minute, Cenk. You can't call the guy terrorist.
Yeah, you can't call a guy terrorist who's not a terrorist. The act of self-defense is not terrorism. God, I hate the idea that Cenk has put me into a position where I'm defending this Ku Klux Klan Grand Master, whatever guy it is. It's disturbing, to say the least, because in the end, this Ku Klux Klan guy is actually in the right, and Cenk is putting me into the situation of defending this guy.
The guy's he says he's the Imperial Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. The guy he was shooting at was a black guy. He's like, oh, that.
So, clearly, he's seen the other guy. Therefore, I can only assume he's seen the big giant flames coming out and shooting. And the idea of what he is really is irrelevant. What he is doesn't make him a terrorist. Just simply, I'm a grand leader of some guys who wear pajamas. It has no bearing, no effect on the situation. Yet he's just like, right wingers. See, right wingers are terrorists, and therefore, because they're defending themselves, they're terrorists. See, you can't win if you're on the right when it comes to Cenk. If you're on the right and you even act in self-defense, you're a horrible person. You are a terrorist. Because they just lumped everybody into that group and call them right-wing terrorists. Which is funny because, he's really easy to say right-wing terrorists, but not Islamic terrorists. No, he can't do that. It's extremists. So you can see he's willing to call out right-wing as terrorists when it comes to this, but not that. So we see this bias playing out here. Isn't that just kind of amazing?
That guy's black. Here, I'll just shoot at him in the middle of the things. Oh,
He didn't shoot at him. He shot at the ground to stop him because he had a flamethrower.
Discharging a firearm as if he was like shooting at some cans in the.
Well, technically, yeah, he was just kind of shooting at cans without the cans. He was shooting at the ground to stop a guy with a flamethrower.
Woods, but it happened to be in a school district. It makes it seem like it was like an accidental crime.
Well, it kind of is, if you really think about it. I mean, he, instead of stopping the guy with the flamethrower using the gun by shooting him, he decided to fire it at the ground, which is technically an accident because, he wanted to save the other guy's life. and accidentally disobeyed the law, which is you shoot the guy with the flamethrower so that you are not accountable to the law or that surrounds, firing a firearm within 1,000 feet of a school. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, I really got to go see what their laws are over there, but I'm pretty sure justifiably killing somebody in self-defense gets you out of that law. I mean, at least over here we have that, like, firing a firearm in the city limits is legal. It's normally illegal unless you shoot somebody in self-defense.
He shot at a dude.
No, he shot at the ground so that he didn't have to shoot at the dude with the flamethrower.
He could have easily killed him or anyone.
Yes, he could have easily killed him or anybody. You're right. One, he could have easily killed the guy who had a flamethrower and was attacking people. He could have fired at the ground. It could have ricocheted and also shot and killed anybody else. That's why he's being charged, with something anyways. I mean, what he did was wrong, and he's gonna go to jail. It's the law, and he will face the crime for firing a firearm within the school zone. How is that a bad thing? That he's being charged with the only crime that they have right now that he had broke. I'm sure they're looking through to find that maybe he broke a few others, because this is the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. They are going to look for stuff to put him away for a while, because they don't like him over there either. But anyways, let's continue.
Anyone else in that crowd? Did you see how busy that crowd was? In the middle of the night, you take a shot? How is that not attempted murder?
Because he wasn't firing at people, and he fired his gun in self-defense. Unless self-defense is murder, and Cenk has not explained how self-defense is murder, I have no clue how he can even be asking that question.
It's incredible. It's incredible that that's not attempted murder. People have gotten, harsher treatment simply for brandishing a weapon. And in this case, he shot a weapon.
Yeah, and people have gotten more sentences for the act of defending themselves because the law just simply wasn't worded right. I mean, people go to jail for different reasons, different times. It's up to the judge to go, okay, here you are, you fired your firearm. It was against the law to fire a warning shot against a guy with a flamethrower trying to harm other people. But you did have justification. So there you go. But see, that's just it. He's going to get the sentence that's within there. If he gets charged and they go, you're guilty, he's going to get a sentence that's in there. And I guarantee you, other people who fired a firearm within the school zone in their law have had similar sentences, either more or less. So, you only compare them to people doing the same crime, not to people committing other crimes.
Luckily, he didn't kill anyone, but he attempted to. And
no, he did not. I dread the day if I ever had to use my firearm in self-defense, because if it gets out and these guys do a story, it's going to be devastating. They're going to make it horrible. But I'm the kind of person that will come back and I will sue them for their misreporting. And too, because people point this stuff out. They tell them, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And they don't do corrections unless everybody and their mother comes after them. And when they do corrections, I think they've done 2 that I can think of on the top of my head. The Sarah Palin one and some other one I can't remember that I could think of anyways. And they weren't even really apologies. They have no defense when it comes down to it. And doing if I came by years later, said, hey, I want you to make a correction, do you think it would have the effect? No, they would be destroying lives, and that's what they're doing. I mean, yeah, I'm not shedding a tear that is a Ku Klux Klan guy, but, what they're doing is still wrong. It doesn't justify it. Who this person is doesn't justify misrepresenting, mischaracterizing this guy.
He gets a much lesser charge than what he deserves. So you're right. I mean, it's the double standard that we see here is pretty incredible.
What double standard? The double standard that the white guy got arrested for using self-defense while the attacker's still out there? You're not calling for the black guy to be taken into a custody. Only the white guy. Only the Ku Klux Klan member. You know, isn't it amazing, the double standard?
But I do want to give the ACLU a lot of credit because they've been, pouring through any and all surveillance, including body cameras, in order to figure out who some of the perpetrators of the violence are, and they're making sure that those individuals get arrested. Also, keep in mind that police arrested Daniel Patrick Borden, who's 18 and out.
Oops, sorry, had to pause that.
In connection with the beating of DeAndre Harris. He's the black 20-year-old who was protesting white supremacy at that rally. And he was beaten. He was beaten
with metal poles.
Yes, with metal poles. To give you more details, a mob of white supremacists beat him with metal.
Isn't it amazing? The mob of white supremacists get arrested. The white supremacists, Ku Klux Klan, I guess, probably be a white supremacist. He gets arrested, and their issue is what? I mean, the black guy got away. The guy who instigated the attack with the flamethrower got away. They are not complaining about that at all. It's white supremacists, white people, whites that got arrested. And they should. I mean, the guys who are hitting the guys with the metal pole, they need to get arrested. And I think it's just funny that it happened in front of I don't know if it's in front, but right near a police station. I mean, that's just hilarious. Like, no care in the world. Let's beat them in front. Yeah, they're going to jail for this stuff, and they should. You don't beat people. And these are white supremacists beating people at random. And this happens. But you don't see the Young Turks doing the story on the two white guys who got beat up, the father and son, by Antifa. Oh, no, because they're socialists, communists, so we're not going to really do that. And call for needing to take these people into custody, or this black guy with a flamethrower. We're not going to call for that. We're just going to bring up all this stuff and just use this to try and make whites look bad.
Metal poles in a parking lot near police headquarters during the rally, leaving him bloodied with a broken wrist, deep gashes to the head, and a chipped tooth. Part of the reason why they were able to catch the perpetrators is because Sean King offered a reward for any information.
Do you think Sean King, the whitest black guy on earth, is going to offer a reward for the information of the guy who had a flamethrower, the black guy? I don't think he is. Isn't it amazing, that double standard?
Finding the suspects, and they did find the suspects.
Look, I think a world of credit goes to Sean King for that.
Well, he does. The fact that he at least put out an offer, I don't know if he really did or not. I didn't check the info on there. But if he did, yeah, he deserves some credit on that. He did that, and I'm glad these guys are behind bars. And it's sad that it required money, but hey, they got him. But again, where's the money for finding the black guy with a flamethrower?
This is the right way to handle things. There was a crime committed. It's on tape. We showed it to you earlier. It's clear as day. 5 guys on one guy. They beat him with a metal pole. He's not armed. He's not.
I always find it funny when people feel you need to do 5-on-1. It's like 1-on-1 is how you do it. But when you start doing 5-on-1, you guys are just cowards. You know, and especially when you're still beating them and you're using metal rods. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I wish society would shun those type of people that as a group, team up and beat them. When you know who they are, I wish society would do a better job at shunning those people. But apparently, it's not doing enough. The little bit of shun, because there are people who do, but for the most part,
not doing anything wrong. He got 10 staples to the head, let alone all the other injuries that Anna listed for you. And Sean said, look, these guys are wanted. They're wanted criminals. So if you know who they are, help the police. So that's Sean King.
And guess what? They did. They helped the police, and they got them.
Doing a great job, and now 2 of them have been found. I'm sure that the right wing will be like, oh, now you're outing people who are wanted by the cops.
Who's saying that? Who do you think even would say that? No, seriously. Oh my goodness. Oh, I really want to just reach through my screen and bite this guy on the neck fat out of just sheer frustration. It's just ridiculous. I mean, if I had a squirt gun filled with hepatitis, I'd be squirting him in the face with it. Oh.
You should be helping protect people who are wanted by the police, right?
Sorry, I had to pause again. My son made me a hamburger. But let's continue.
In order.
Yes. So, and look again, and I said it in the original video we did about it. I'm less tough on the cops for having the headquarters nearby. There was a gigantic protest. The cops are in the streets. It's not a normal situation where it's around the corner from the police headquarters and there's nothing else going on. There was some degree of mayhem going on. But all we're asking for is to do proper policing and
okay, that's what they were doing. That you haven't pointed where they haven't done proper policing.
Bring people to justice.
And they brought people to justice. So they brought the guy with the gun who fired it within 1,000 feet of a school zone to seek justice. He's in custody. They've gotten the people behind, at least I think he said 2 of them anyways, the people behind the white supremacists who bashed him. So far, society is doing what he wants.
Afterwards, it's not too much to ask for.
Yep, we got him afterwards. So we've met all his qualifications. We have gotten him. The law, the world, the society has done exactly as he has demanded. But that's not what he wants.
I mean, look, they shoot unarmed black guys all the time.
And they shoot unarmed white guys all the time. Matter of fact, more white people die, but you know.
Disproportionate.
Matter of fact, the study, I think 2015 study found that cops are white cops are less likely to fire their guns at I think it was a survey, but well, anyways, fire their weapon at black people that are committing crimes, or at least suspected of them, whatnot, than other blacks and Hispanics. So, see, he's leaving this stuff out. It's an intentional, it's an intentional obfuscation of the facts. It's like, I want to make it look like blacks are victims, whites are privileged, and you know, I'm just gonna, in order to do this, I have to leave out key pieces of information.
So it's not anecdotal. We've shown you the statistics on that.
You've shown us 1/2 of the statistics. Other people have had to show both sides of the statistics because you don't show all of them.
Evidence on it. And they get shot and killed, and they don't even have a gun. This imperial...
Yeah, whites do too. And in those situations, most of them, it's justified because the person either had their hands in their pockets, reached funny, or was threatened some other way. It's not like, just shoot somebody randomly. I got nothing better to do. Are there cases like that? Yeah, I can think of one very recent one, but it's not. It's not what he's trying to pass on here.
The wizard of the Ku Klux Klan had a gun, used a gun in the middle of a crowded protest,
and he's been arrested.
Shot it directly at someone.
No, he didn't shoot it directly at somebody. The ground is not a person.
Luckily, he missed.
Yes.
And somehow, it's like a minor offense. Did they go
well,
up?
Because the killing somebody is a big offense. Attacking somebody with a flamethrower, a big offense. Shooting somebody in self-defense is not an offense. Shooting the ground within 1,000 feet of a school when you are doing so to defend somebody is really not a big offense. It's still an offense because you still broke the law in this case, but you ultimately saved a person's life, probably many people's lives, by doing that. So, yeah, what the hell's your point there, Chank?
After him? No. Did they shoot him? No. Did they take any action? And part of the reason, let's be honest, It's because
did they take any action? Yes, they arrested the guy. Oh, see, that's the thing. Oh, they didn't do anything. Did they take any action? No. Yes, they did. He's in jail right now. At least, I don't know if he paid bail, but he was arrested and he's being charged. So they did something.
the right wing uses weapons. So
the left wing doesn't. What the hell's a flamethrower? That's a weapon. Ignore that. Don't let anybody see it. See this hand? Don't pay attention to this one. But this hand, look at, not this one. Oh my God.
Ironically, they call black protesters thugs, but they're unarmed, so they get crushed.
The guy had a flamethrower. A flamethrower. It puts out fire, can kill, can harm, can set buildings on fire, trees, branches, property. Fire is an extremely effective way at killing people. Doesn't even require much.
And the right-wingers come armed to the teeth, and so the cops are like,
yeah, well, I think they might have a reason to, because whenever they go out to just protest peacefully, they're met with groups like Antifa and other groups that go out there and meet them with violence. So they feel they need to start packing heat because the other people are beating them with bottles filled with cement, bottles filled with firecrackers and other explosives, with bottles just themselves, rocks, stones, sticks. So they feel the need to defend themselves. But, let's ignore that. Let's just completely ignore that so that we could just make it like, they're just out there. They're just like carrying guns and shooting people. That's what they do. So, if you just leave them alone, nobody would really care. You're giving the Ku Klux Klan, the white supremacist power. You're driving people to them too, because every time you go, well, hey, white people are privileged and all this stuff, and the white person's like, I can barely pay my mortgage. Where's my privilege? And they're going to start going towards that side because that's the side that's actually standing up for them. And that's what's really sad.
I mean, I don't know. What am I supposed to do? When I rush in there, I could harm myself. The Bundy guys, these Nazi guys, the KKK guys, they all come in with heavy...
The Antifa, the Black Lives Matter movement. You can do it too.
Weaponry, and the cops get intimidated.
The water defenders.
Wait, I thought you guys were brave. I thought the whole thing was that you were supposed to, you got a hard job. Well, that's a hard job. Go arrest that guy.
They did. They act like they didn't arrest him. And yet and they said earlier, he's been arrested. But no, go arrest that guy, as if he hasn't been arrested. The dishonesty with the Young Turks is just astounding. And it's unbelievable. And what's funny is they say we're the alternative media, yet all they do is tote the talking points of the mainstream media. They are literally corporate media. And not just that, they are like intentionally doing stuff that is getting people killed. They literally had one of their own fans who was doing their talking points go out and kill 5 cops. And yet here they still are doing that. They haven't learned their lesson. They're going off and they're just basically, let's pay attention to the white people, but ignore the black people because they, they're poor victims. 200 years ago they were enslaved. So let's just blame it on that, and therefore they get a pass. But white people, no pass for you. You don't get it. You get treated differently. You get arrested. White person, black person with a flamethrower, let's ignore. This is the problem with the Young Turks are an incredibly racist news organization and race baiting. I mean, heck, this group named themselves after the Young Turks. Literally, this is a group that committed genocide. They're taking that name. And Cenk is a person who sat there and denied the Armenian genocide. And he, even when he supposedly, people tried saying, oh, well, he came back and said, no, he changed his mind. No, he didn't. He just said he regrets writing his letter, pretty much. So something like that. I'll have to double check. But that was pretty much it. It wasn't yeah, the Armenians committed genocide. He didn't straightly, directly say that. And he's never addressed why his group still continues to have the name of it. It's like calling your group the Young Nazis. It's the same thing, and yet they're going for it. They continue it, and guess who their new target is? It's white people and cops.